Boy, this thing is a really snug fit in between these little plastic clips. It has been so long since I've done one of these clip-on coolers. I don't miss them, to be honest. All right, let's see here. Will it fit on? There we go. We'll wiggle this a little. It's on there quite securely. And we flip the lever to actually latch it in place, and boy, is that in there good. That is a very secure connection. So let's check this out. Make sure I plug into the right motherboard pin header. For the CPU fan. Yes, I actually read manuals. All right, so this will plug into this header. Then we're going to take this around and we will actually plug up the RGB. Because the stock AMD coolers actually do RGB. You get this little cable, which is honestly far too long for what it needs to be. But that's okay. We'll figure out a way to clean up the routing. That in. The fan also has a little switch on the side for low or high. We're going to turn it on high and let the motherboard actually do the speed control. Now then, cable management for this cable. We ran it around. And then we will probably be able to cable manage this away a little. If we look here, I was watching a video that they actually talked about what this was as far as pin 1 goes. I believe pin 1 is the plus 12. So I believe it goes like so. Nah, we're gonna actually hide it all. Pin 1 is the 12 volt, which is fine. I don't want to ship a glass side panel anyway. So much extra packaging and risk associated with it. All right, so that's all plugged up. I will cable manage this wire later. But next thing to do is to actually fit this into a case. So we're gonna zoom out. Slowly bring the camera over. We'll turn up the light a little. And now we will grab this ridiculously heavy motherboard. And gently as possible, drop it into place, making sure that all my holes line up. So I can see my little peg here actually does line up quite nicely. Now we find the case screws. I can get rid of a bunch of the stuff that's on the table that I don't need anymore. Case screws, those should be, those are drive screws. Where are my motherboards? I believe these are my motherboard screws, so we'll give them a try. If they don't line up, cool. Try the others. If those don't line up, cool. I've got plenty out in the shop. So what I normally do is I'll do this end screw here in the middle on the front. I won't cinch it all the way down. Yep, this is the right screw, but I'll get it close. And then I will go for the hardest to reach ones. So this back corner in here is a nightmare to reach because of all the heat sinks and power connectors and everything. So I just kind of wiggle it in. And tighten it down most of the way. I'll do this one even though it's not in a horrible spot, just to give it a little balance. And we're going to go up here to this middle one that's really not fun to reach. And I don't tighten all these, or I really don't tighten any of these down until it's time. Let me go see what that comment was. Yeah, this guy has a long, long journey to make. I mean, it's probably going to be in shipment for at least 2 weeks. Because the place this is going, UPS and FedEx don't really deliver to. And the only way in and out is airplane. So it's got to survive the trip decently. I'm actually debating, I'm going to play with it a bit. This seems like it'll be okay in shipment, but I'm going to play with it a little, see if there's anything I can do to maybe reinforce it or maybe pull some stuff out to that he could that the person that's receiving this can install on site. We'll see how big this GPU is. The box looks sizable. And now there is maniacal laughing from the other room. I think that they're enjoying Black Mesa. All right, now all the screws are in, but not tight. So I'm going to start from the middle, cinching it up. And then I'll tighten up the corners. And the way I'm holding this screwdriver prevents me from over torquing it. So I've got two finger, or a thumb and a finger, and then I have my middle finger along the side. And it really prevents me from over tightening anything to where I risk damaging stuff. All right, now we've got this cable that I said I was going to cable manage later, and see if there's a good way for me to cable management now. Like, say by doing that. It might actually be better for me to, yeah. I'm going to unplug it, route it through here. And plug it back in up here. And it can actually go through this top hole. And then I can clean up the cable around the back. For now, I'm just going to lift up the case, push it through, pull it through, if it'll work. Yeah, that'll work decently. All right, so there's that. Now I've got to put this cover back on. Now I don't know if I'll finish this build tonight. I might get somewhat close, but I don't know if I'll finish it all the way. So that just sits right there. Get these two microscopic screws. It would have been nice if they had put these into where they would be retained. And grab my screwdriver. Tighten that on. So looking at the picture, Yeah, that looks all right. Now I've got this fan and the front fan that I need to plug in. Before I go too crazy. So that's chassis fan. Okay. This fan really is just going to plug in here. So let's see here. I believe I have a small something that I can use to retain that without using a zip tie or anything that might cause a short. A zip tie or a twist tie. Oh, tell you what, there are some small zip ties in here. We'll go ahead and we'll use those. And who do we have here? Just wrap it around the fan, the outside. I've done that before. I have totally done that before. If this didn't have such pretty lights, I would totally do that. But let's just use some of the built-in zip ties. I'll have to grab something to snip them later. We'll do a couple zip ties, one at each end, just to keep it pretty. Of course, I might have to... No, I can get it. Of course, it helps if I put the connector the correct way around. Don't get snippy. And where is... Here we go. See if I could snip the wires in half. There's one. There's two. There we go. Yeah, I think that'll do. Now let's see here. I have a whole mess of wiring to do on this. This is going to be so much of a pain in the butt. I mean, fun. So let's see here. I'll have the USB, the front panel audio, all the buttons. I'll have the SATA cable and the power cables. And I just want to put the video card in this and turn it on. But I got a lot of stuff to wire up before I can even get that far. And yes, I can go a lot faster, but no. You mean 50 more FPS, not 54 FPS? Yeah. Since you guys have joined the channel, this is what's going in it. It's a 2080 Super. It only has 8 gigs of RAM though, so I'm a little disappointed in that, but you know, you can only do so much. Yeah, triple fan. I actually, in my studio machine, which is right there, that has a MSI Duke triple fan in it. I like the triple fans. Let's see here. I've got to turn this around, and it comes with a bunch of these cables pre-managed. So I actually have to undo their cable management to get the cables to go in the front. So USB 3, hard drive LED, reset switch, power LED, front panel audio. So we're going to take all these cables and just shove them out through this hole. Because, well, I could theoretically, let's see what we got here. I might be able to fit some of these through. They do have some nice low profile pass-throughs. Oh no, lurking's not permitted. I'll tell your boss on you. By boss, I mean your wife. So we'll kind of go with the stealth wiring job on this guy. Didn't see exactly where these USB 3 connections are, so I'm not going to pass that through quite yet. Oh, that goes in the back too, I believe. Oh, yeah, that can totally... If I can fit it through the hole. Which I could if the power supply wasn't in. So we'll actually pull the power supply out. So that I can feed these cables through. I mean, I'd have to do it again later anyway, so now's as good a time as any. Nice how you can see that through the mesh down here through the cowl. So let's see here. Let's get this cable through ever so gently. And provided it has enough cable length, which it might actually not. Should be able to plug this in down here in the bottom, and it all just fits nicely. That keeps the cables out of the way. And then our HD audio header is right over here. And see if I can get you a better shot of what I'm doing. It's a little hard with the light in here. But instead of routing or taking cables out through this rubber cowl and running them down along, they actually gave us some pass-throughs where we can clean up the wires like so. And that actually gives them kind of a stealth look. Means the back's not going to be as pretty, but that's okay. Oh, another nice thing about this board is it has Wi-Fi 6. So I have hard drive LED, reset switch, power LED. So my power button, yeah, it fell back through. Go. And I've got to make sure that this power supply will fit through with these cables in place like they are. And they're being a bit of a pain. I think I need to unplug this and twist my cables around. Let's see here. Can we do it that way? If I can, that should leave enough room for the power supply. Oh boy, that's tight, but it fits. All right. Now then, we're going to flip this around so maybe you guys can see a little better. Maybe I can see a little bit better what I'm going to be doing up here. So I've got all these wires that are going to have to go on here. And I could try to read that tiny little stuff on the board, or I can flip open the manual and look. I think I'm going to flip open the manual. Okay, front panel connector. There we go. If I look at hard drive LED, that's in the front corner. First things first, we're going to untangle it from all these other wires. Oh no, it's in the back corner. Okay. That goes